Welcome to Brewsers, a podcast about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. I am your host, Roddy John, and today we talk to Wes Barkley. We talk all about how he got into pro wrestling, road stories, and so much more. It's such a fun conversation I had with Wes. He's such a good dude, and he's just continued to get better in the Northeast. Definitely make sure to check him out. If you aren't already there for WrestleMania weekend and you checked out any local wrestling, good for you. Continue to support your local wrestlers and your independent wrestlers. Your favorite new wrestler is going to be the biggest wrestler one day, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. Now, if you want even more information about our guest, make sure to sign up for our newsletter. It comes out twice a week. You get more information about our guest, you get fun facts, and you get to find out what's happening with your favorite podcast, all about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. So without further ado, here is Wes Barkley. I would like to welcome to the show Wes Barkley. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me on. Looking forward to the night. Let's rock.
There you go. Now, for those listening, kind of paint us a word picture. Where are you at? What's going on around you?
All right, so I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. Professional wrestler. Been wrestling for a little over 5 years now. Let's see. We're in 1 month in January. For people that know me, they know I always say you got to plant those seeds, right? So I usually say October, November, you start planting them, December watering it, and by January you should have that garden going. But some people start at the new year, you know what I mean? So I've kind of been in a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I had two big shows the last 2 weeks. I was in Chicago for freelance wrestling. I had a match against Coda Hernandez. It was an awesome first match of the year. I just turned 30 as well. So I looked myself in the mirror and I said, we got to make some changes. We got to make some moves. We got to make some plays happen. So Coda Hernandez first week, awesome match. And then last week I was in London, Ontario, Canada for Greektown Wrestling. Amazing show. A lot of fun. I wrestled Joe Coleman and I said I got cheated. And we overturned the decision. I ended up in the main event in a four-way against Derek Dillinger, Bill Collier, and Channing Decker, four of the hardest hitting dudes in the game right now. And that was a fun night. I'm a little banged up from it still, but I just did an hour hot yoga, extremely hot yoga, and I'm starting to feel $8 again. So that's kind of my last, week and a half kind of update for you.
I love and miss hot yoga so much, and I don't think that people fully I don't think a lot of people have fully embraced it because they can't get past the hot part. And it's like,
it was hot today too. I recently got into it about 2 or 3 months ago, probably 3 months ago. You know what? Honestly, it was around the summertime because it was hot outside and it was hot in the class. And now the class has been a little cooler because the weather outside here in Cleveland is like 20 degrees. Right now it's actually not bad. It was like 40, so it was super hot again. So you're right. I mean, that was the biggest first step for me. There were so many times where I wanted to snap out just because of the heat. So the yoga itself wasn't that bad at all.
Yeah, not at all. So my old house, I had a garage, and I, converted most of it into a gym.
Okay.
And I, here in Texas, we get, about 90 days of 100-plus degree weather. And in a garage, it's obviously even hotter.
Right.
So I would love to just get in there, do some workouts, and just be dripping before, like, the first round is even done. And I was like, this is where it's at. And so I miss that big time because, my house now, unfortunately, I don't have a garage. And so if I'm going to go do stuff on my patio, it's, probably a little pretty warm, but I haven't, this summer that's exactly what you'll find me is doing kettlebell stuff and jumping rope.
That's the move. That's what I've kind of realized as I gotten older is doing way more yoga, more full body. Actually, Filthy Tom Waller was the first guy to really get me hip to kettlebells. He was the first dude who I saw who was in unreal shape, and he would just go crazy on Instagram with these kettlebells. So I started taking his brain on him, and then I started implementing those. And, just with like wrestling, because you're trying to stay in shape, but you also got to perform at the highest level. And when I was first starting out, I wasn't big by any means, but I was doing more of like a bodybuilder type workout, breaking it down. But, more as, I got older and I kind of realized more that the full body workout is really what's best for me. So on the road to yoke, #road to Yost. That's what
I love that. And yeah, I mean, so congratulations on just becoming 30.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I turned 40 last year, so I know how that game works. And
when there's a zero, it's big. You know what I mean?
I mean, so I was talking to somebody last week. They had just turned 50, and it was like every birthday after this that doesn't end in 0 does not matter, and no one does shit. So, yeah.
Yep, I feel that.
I almost feel that way with your 30s and 40s as well. Once you turn those, nobody really gives a shit after that. Like, obviously, you're gonna have people are gonna celebrate your birthday because you're still alive and you're still, but they're not gonna care as much. So it's good to actually celebrate every day, actually, that you're really alive. But
hell yeah, hell yeah, love that.
Any day you wake up is a good day. So
I love it. That's the mindset right there. I'm with you on that, brother.
Yeah. So I will fully agree with you on the full body and the functional workouts because they are something that you cannot stop and you cannot do without because your body, like, I've had the tendency forever to just do the bodybuilding or sometimes the powerlifting way of working out, and it's good for a while, but once you like start squatting so much weight and you're like, do my knees really need to hurt like this just because I want to squat like 500 pounds? No, there's no reason for that.
I'm with you on that. And I'm all about the longevity right now, you know what I mean? I'm trying to, I don't know, just be moving like this when I'm 50 or 60.
Right. I mean, shit, look at Sting. Sting is still killing it right now, and he's 63, 64, something like that.
That's the man right there. Shout out to Sting.
Yeah. He's in the DFW area too. Yeah, I mean, I'm fingers crossed that whenever he's retired and not under contract, I could actually talk to him. But
I hope I wrestle him in his last match. You know what I mean? That's the headline. We're already 1 minute in, and I got a headline for the dirt sheet.
I love it. You're putting it out in the universe, and I appreciate that about you.
There's a little more backstory to me and Stinger, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to say I can't get into it. I can't get into it.
I think you should.
You're prying it out of me. Hey, well, I had to, I was driving at AEW one day. See, I didn't want to get into all this, but I was leaving the venue and someone asked me for a ride, and I looked back at Stinger, so I got Stinger in my back seat. I'm driving, and you look in the rearview mirror, and you just got full paint Stinger. That was quite an experience. That's all I can say, though.
I love it, and I hope that I can hear the rest of that story one day.
Absolutely. Maybe off air.
Off air for sure. I'm not trying to get you in any trouble. So, well, let's go all the way back in time. So, what's your earliest memory of pro wrestling?
Earliest memory of pro wrestling is George the Animal Steel biting off a turnbuckle post and having a green tongue. It scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Sorry for a lot of swear out here, but I had to get
It's a drinking podcast. You're fine. Yeah.
Hey, there we go. So, that scares the shit out of me as a kid. I just vividly remember that. Being like, whoa, what is that? What is that? And then I kind of got more and more familiar. And then next memory that like is real, because I tried to track that down, and I'm like, it must have been like a WWF like highlight or something when we were flipping channels. But then, because then the next real memory is this has to be like probably 97 maybe, whenever Stone Cold threw the belt into the river with the Rock. I remember that vividly. And I was like, okay, who's this guy? And then fell in love with Stone Cold. And then, remember seeing the NWO come out and Scott Hall come out. And I was like, what's going on? But I'm so young at the time that I remember I'm having to like lean up and find the remote and hit buttons until it hit on it. You know what I mean? Like, early days. I was Stone Cold for kindergarten, okay, in 99. So I was, 5 years old? I was born in 1994. So I was Stone Cold for kindergarten. So I was hooked. As soon as I saw it, I was absolutely hooked.
I completely know where you're coming from. I was the exact same way. I was 3 or 4, and, you always hear about the people that have come in and out. It's almost like double Dutch of, like, if you're in or out of watching pro wrestling. I was fully in, never stopped. Like, even, high school when you're supposed to be going looking for girls, Monday nights I was in front of the TV and that was it. Like there was nothing else for me.
Yep, I was always watching Raw. I hit it a little bit, I'll be honest. I wasn't wearing wrestling shirts with school, but people were, I'm 10 years behind you, so it was a little different, you know what I mean? Like, we only didn't
right.
Really. And then I didn't even really fuck with WWE towards my high school run, because that was when they were going to HD era. I was kind of falling out of love with that, around 2012 when I was graduating high school. I was kind of like, and I like the indies more, so, and, whatever other stuff was going on.
Yeah. Well, so I guess what inside you kind of inspired you to like, you know what? I've enjoyed this since I was a kid. Let me try this as a...
That was it.
Oh, okay.
When I was probably 5. When I was 4 or 5, when I was dressing up as Stone Cold, I'm like, I'm going to do this. And then, I would always tell my brother's like a year and a half younger than me. I'm like, dude, we're going to become pro wrestlers. We're going to be the Hardy Boys. We love the Hardy Boys. And he was like, I could tell he wasn't with it, so I'd always be like, all right, dude, you could be Jeff. I'll be Matt. Nothing against Matt. He's the homie, too. But he, Jeff was doing swantons and shit. So I was like, dude, you could be Jeff. All right, cool. But then he still really didn't really like it. But then I was just like, I'm going to do this. And I just always told myself I'm going to do this. I remember telling my parents and shit when I was in middle school, I'm going to do this. They're like, no, you got to go to college and stuff. But I always knew I was going to do it, and I did it.
I always was a bigger Matt than Jeff fan. I always thought Matt had more of the brains. No offense to Jeff. But Jeff just did all the really cool moves, and I thought Matt had more of the story behind him, and especially whenever that whole thing with the whole Edge, Lita, and Matt thing happened.
That was lit. And that whole time in WWE was pretty epic. There was some wild stuff going on there. So, I mean, they're both legends of the top degree Hall of Famers in every company. They're going to be like 7-time Hall of Famers. And they're just awesome, so it's epic,
You know what I didn't think about until you just mentioned it, but Ring of Honor, before they got bought, was doing a Hall of Fame, and then all of a sudden they got bought and they're not doing a Hall of Fame anymore. So, interesting. I never thought about that.
Did they do a Ring of Honor Hall of Fame at WWE or at AEW? Did Jerry? Oh, he's just on the board of directors, right?
There's on board of directors. So I think it was Punk, Joe, Briscoes. I think those were the first class, and then they never did another one.
Hall of Famers up for sure.
They're going to be a TNA Hall of Famer whenever they're done with their careers. WWE, whenever they're done with their careers. AEW will probably have a Hall of Fame. Not that any of these mean anything, because nobody has a physical Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Even though
Scott Snyder told me that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that's what's even funnier is they own more wrestling memorabilia than most fans do, and they don't have an actual physical Hall of Fame. How does that make any sense?
No, it is a travesty for real. They're probably like, where do we put it? But you can always do it in Connecticut, by the HQ, but or you can do it wherever. You know what I mean?
Nobody wants to go to Connecticut. No offense to Connecticut.
True. No, 100%. That's I mean, if they find a good location, they can do it in Hollywood or something. I mean, it would be pretty epic, and everybody would want to check that out. And now, when wrestling becomes more and more mainstream, and with The Rock and that stuff, people want to go there. They'll be like, so it's crossing over to mainstream that it's like it would be like football Hall of Fame or hockey Hall of Fame, basketball Hall of Fame. They're basketball Hall of Fame. I think they're great.
No, I mean, without a doubt, they just need to pick. I mean, I think Florida could maybe work because they already have a PC down there, and the weather is almost perfect all the time, except for maybe hurricane season. But, other than that, it's perfect all the time, and you just have no issue whatsoever having a beautiful Hall of Fame, and they could even have an open air courtyard for people that can go eat lunch, and there's a giant statue of Hulk Hogan or Andre the Giant they could eat under or something like that.